Well, it's Tolkien's turn to get the feminist treatment. They are perverting it. They're destroying it. They're spitting on his legacy. They are bringing it up to the male fandom to shove in their faces. And they are getting paid to do it. They have won at every stage. And part of what they want is the reactions from the nerds. So I'm going to show you some of these nerds giving them the reaction they actually want. These guys always get upset. They never call out the feminist. They always act shocked. These feminists are loving it. Now, one of the basic things they do when they take these franchises is that they turn them into daytime soaps. And they take the bad guy and make him a love interest. And these guys will show you what I'm talking about right here.
Show. And it's the Rings of Power, and it's an afterthought at the end of the episode. Sauron is not even, he doesn't even have a plan. He's just, Sauron's actual main goal throughout the whole show was to get in Galadriel's pants.
Yeah.
Which didn't even make sense because he actually, most of the show, didn't like her, didn't want to go with her, happy to go off on your own. I'm like, and so if at any point Galadriel said, okay, see ya, what was he? Was like, oh, no, this isn't reverse psychology. It's like, no, it's so stupid. She manipulates him, forces him to go along with it, and then he ends up falling in love. And then, so then, okay, then why? The way he met her was, the show was trying to say that it was orchestrated by him, but it couldn't have been because he would have had to have known the future to know that she would have jumped off into the ocean to set up him on the raft with these other random people. To like, they had to leave wherever they came from on the sea well before Galadriel jumped off the boat.
None of this has to make any sense for it to happen. The feminist writers just want it to happen. So it doesn't have to, they don't have to make anything worthwhile because their whole purpose is to burn the show down. They don't have to know anything about the source material. They don't have to follow any rules, or they don't have to be consistent or anything. They have to just show what they want to show.
So must have known the future. And so it's like, was he there genuinely just randomly? Sauron's just going, randomly comes across Galadriel, gets manipulated and used by Galadriel, but then ends up falling in love with her anyway. You've pushed me to heights I never would have reached without you, he says.
And somehow this is a master plan?
It's not a plan. None of this can be a plan by the sheer, like, process of events.
Yeah.
If you just go through, like, cause and effect, it's quite literally impossible for this to have been orchestrated or known or be a plan from the beginning. But they're trying to make it seem like it was. That he manipulated her, and it's like, you're gaslighting us, bullcrap, this is impossible.
Thank you for admitting it, what I just said. It's gaslighting. They destroy the show and then gaslight you that this is good, right? It's to piss you guys off and you're falling for it. Hook, line, sinker. But these feminist women, they're creaming their pants over this. You guys are probably giving the best orgasm they've had in months.
And if anything, it's Galadriel using him for her own ends, and then him getting like Stockholm syndrome and falling in love with her, and then her rejecting him. Unironically, Galadriel is a thought in this show where she uses a man for her own benefit and gain, you know, tagging along,
None of this is ironic. This is fan fiction insert. These feminist women, this is how they behave. They're terrible people and they use people and they don't respect men. So of course, Galadriel behaves like they would behave. It makes perfect sense.
Sliding him, forcing him, and telling him that you'll only have peace when you're with me and do what I say and everything. Getting him to, like, he just loves being punished and dominated by this woman and loving her. So he is like, guess what? He's a simp. Galadriel is a thought, and Sauron is a simp. Thought Rio and Simpron is the takeaway of this season.
And the reason why he goes all evil and bad is because he got rejected.
Because he gets rejected by
And then he's like, that's it, I'm gonna go to Mordor.
Yeah.
And I will
just to force you to like me, because if you tell anyone that you helped Sauron the Dark Lord, they'll reject you again, so you have to go there. So it's really kind of like, it's the scorned lover kind of, you know, oh, now I'll screw you over because you rejected me thing. That's the Dark Lord.
Of course. That the point is to bring every male character down. Of course, he's an incel, right? The original, motivation for Sauron to go down his dark path is that he wanted to create, but he didn't have the ability. He could only mock, right? That's what made him so. That was the motivation for him turning evil. Of course, they have to bring it down to he just couldn't get the girl. It's diminishing. Also, it's projection, because these feminists, they are the true Morgoths, the true Saurons. These women are hateful people. They can't create anything. They can only mock. That's why they're not creating Lord of the Rings. They can only take it and mock it and turn it into a farcical version of itself. But in any event, you guys have given them everything they wanted. Now, we'll check out a couple of these other guys. We'll check out Despero and see what he has to say about it.
We get them admitting that they changed canon just so they could fit a mystery box into season 1. And we get interviews.
It's not a mystery box. Don't use their terms. They're gaslighting terms. They're changing it to spit on the male fans. That's you. Okay?
With so many contradictions that I don't think they even understand their own show, or worse, I don't think they have written an objective reality for their show. I think they're so obsessed with being pretentiously artistic that they're letting the viewer decide.
No, they're not pretentious or artistic. There's no art to this. Any more than there's an art to a wrecking crew. You don't need any understanding. What's your name again? Despero. I don't know how to fix a car, but I don't need to know the inner workings of a car's motor in order to take a sledgehammer and destroy the car. Do you understand? This is what's happening to the Lord of the Rings right now, as we speak. So you guys should know better than this. I mean, this happened in 2016, right? With Ghostbusters. And then happened again with Star Wars, then Star Trek, then Doctor Who, then Mad Max, and the list goes on and on. So, 3 times is a trend. What's 12 times? So you guys have seen this often enough. Why are you still pretending you don't know what's going on?
The events of the actual show. And they don't even know what the truth is themselves. But if you want the most insane take up front, how about the One Ring causes people to throw parties?
Look at Bilbo, who's been holding onto the ring for decades at this point. He's become this sort of emperor hobbit, right? What do hobbits love to do? They love to eat and have parties. He's now going to do the party to end all parties. I think that's because he has the ring.
And then we had this introduction.
Hello, is that really how the first 3 rings were forged? Metalwork has never been sexier.
Alright, calm down, love. Halbrand's a looker, we get it. Or were you talking about Celebrimbor? I'm not sure. Get Sarah Shahi down here to work the forge in season 2, we'll call it even. But we'll start with one of the larger points, the big reveal of the finale.
This is the official The Rings of Power podcast. I cannot believe Halbrand had me fooled the whole time. Sauron was hiding in plain sight.
Oh, I can't believe it. No one saw that coming. Especially the actor, actually, as even when he was filming the series, he didn't know he was going to be Sauron. After filming episode 2 is actually when they told Charlie, there's got to be a surprise, hasn't it? After you've just filmed all the raft and you're like, oh, I've got to get with my girl Galadriel.
Just like my girl Galadriel.
I'm gonna go Galadriel.
Yeah.
As you see, there's not a bit of genuine feeling with these people at all. They are not fans, but they don't need to be. They're in on destroying it. So...
Only to find out that you're the most evil person on Middle-earth. But of course, no one was actually trying to get Galadriel and Halbrand together. Were they?
Yes, they were, of course. You're getting it now. All these ladies can do is make soap operas, daytime soap operas. Where the bad boy and the main girl get together. She converts the bad guy into a good guy with her mirror self. Yeah.
Fell for Halbrand's charms, just like my girl Galadriel. Tall, dark, and handsome. What could you do?
Okay, she's just a podcaster. She's just a viewer. It's not like she's got any power in the show or any influence, right? It's not like she's Morphed Clark Galadriel herself, is she? Also,
oh, by the way, before you go any further, I have to say one of the biggest gaslighting things they say is that they're trying to do something new and exciting. They don't. Like, if you see what they actually do, it's the same old soap opera tropes. Completely. The only changes they make are things to piss the male fans off. That's it. And even those are predictable. Like I said, these feminists are Morgoth. They can't create, they can only mock.
So in this episode, we had more overt adult tension between Galadriel and Halbrand. Cosmic tension. We've literally got the actress of the show telling us what her character feels in that moment. He's like, I enjoy riding with you. I enjoy riding with you too. There was a lot of discussion between the actors. How would these two characters express, honestly, how they felt and were vulnerable together? It was terrifying to tell someone how you feel. And this isn't surprising. Anyone who watched the show would obviously pick up on the fact that they were definitely trying to get these two together. So with that in mind, it would be absolutely absurd if someone were to try and deny that that's what they were doing, wouldn't it?
No, it wouldn't be absurd. You just have to recognize, if you recognize what their motivations are, sorry, what's your name again? Despera. If you recognize what their motivations are, it's not absurd. Their motivation is to wreck the show, is to pervert it, to shit on the male characters, to piss off the male fans, make money from that, and watch you cry over it. And they're getting everything they want. It makes perfect sense. And again, you guys are giving them exactly what they want. Okay, we'll get into what's this guy named? Media Mana, right? We'll get into what he has to say. You know, I'm showing 3 times his term, right? And he'll complain how they're trashing the characters, right?
But we'll definitely cross that bridge whenever we get to it. Also, at no point during the first or even a good chunk of the Second Age did Galadriel ever set out to get revenge against Sauron for killing her brother. Nor is she or anyone else at this point in the Second Age aware that Sauron is actually amassing an army. That isn't revealed until after he disguises himself as a Maya named Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, and
of course. Again, what's your name? Media Mana. They don't have to follow canon because their purpose isn't to follow canon. You understand? You understand that, right? It's to mock the show, to make a mockery of the show.
forges the Rings of Power. You know, the entire premise for the War of the Ring. But barring all of that, I wouldn't inherently be against the idea of Brick taking up a quest to avenge her brother's death, if it wasn't actually a thinly veiled attempt to attach an archetype that doesn't even remotely fall in line with her character.
Of course, they change her character, and you're showing you how. Look, you even know what I'm talking about. You're showing Star Wars, right? They took Rey, they made her into a Mary Sue. She outdoes all the male characters. She steals their thunder, and guess what? She pairs her up romantically with the bad boy. All you guys, all you male nerds listening, listen. The girls are turned on by the bad boys. Nice guys make them puke. So, of course, their fan fiction involves shipping the main girl with the bad boy. Okay?
The writers had a clear desire to mold her into Galadriel Skywalker by having her perform
Exactly. So you recognize that this is a trend. So, Media Mana, why can't you guys see what's going on? How come you can't admit it? Well, I know you can't. You can't admit it to yourselves first, let alone to anyone else, right?
these death-defying leaps and actively putting her men in harm's way just to highlight how much of a badass she is. all while completely removing the mysticism that's been longly associated with her character. In contrast with Jackson's depiction of Galadriel, the films never had to explain through exposition why.
By the way, any female, fan, actual fan, likes this version of Galadriel. If you listen to them, this version doesn't do any action scenes. She doesn't get her hands dirty. She doesn't have to do anything. She's just there to be admired and worshipped. This is who they want to be. So the action version of her is to spit on the male fans. It doesn't attract the female fans. It's to spit on the male fans. She's stealing the thunder of the male characters. Okay?
Why she's so.
Well, one of the aspects that they show over and over again is that the female hero is an asshole because she's a self-insert fanfic. The feminists are nasty people. They're hate mongers. So their female characters behave like they do.
So, with all of that now out of the way, here is this complete clusterfuck of an exchange.
It's been generations since a ship of Numenor was permitted to make such a journey on an elf's behalf. The elf means...
Then if blood be the price of passage, I will pay it.
I welcome you to try.
I have no need of your welcome.
And you are quickly wearing out yours.
I'm genuinely baffled and almost impressed in a sense at just how nonsensical the dialogue is. The Numenorians, or at least a sweeping majority of them, have an utterly transparent hatred for elves.
Elf ships on our shore. Elf workers taking your trades. I'm gonna come.
Both of them arriving here is definitely stirring up unrest, which naturally means that Muriel and Farazan would want them off the island immediately, especially with what we learn about their characters later on in the show. But after pointing out that they haven't sent a ship to Middle-earth on an elf's behalf for a considerable amount of time, Rick's knee-jerk response is to indirectly threaten to kill the Queen Regent of Numenor in front of all her armed guards.
They paid for this isle with the blood of their kin.
Then if blood be the price of passage, I will pay it. But one way or another, I will depart.
Why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way. I hate...
Yeah, right. The whole point is this character is an asshole, and as usual, she doesn't pay the penalty. The thing is, this, if you watch my channel, is par for the course in real life. There's all kinds of women out there getting off scot-free after doing terrible things. So this trope is, but the point is, this guy, Media Mana, should know this by now, because this has been going on, as he's shown, since Skywalker, right? So there's that. All right, let's end this up.
Wanted to touch on with the Hardfoots, and that is the unspeakable sin ripoff Samwise commits at the beginning of episode 5.
That not all who wander or wander are lost.
Move this man!
I will keep pounding this point into submission. As someone who adores Tolkien's work, I'm totally fine with altering or foregoing certain aspects of source material if it's done for the sake of crafting the best possible narrative you can.
Please stop offering these stupid, needless olive branches. All these nerds do the same thing. They always try to make it neutral and play fair and all this. They could make a Lord of the Rings 2.0 that is fantastic, and I would still reject it on the principle that's done to spit on me as a man. That's the only reason you need to reject this. We don't have to talk about script quality or continuity or character development or any of that. I would reject the best movie ever if its whole purpose was to spit on me. This is the frame you've got to hold, media mana.
But this change wasn't even remotely necessary to the story Amazon wanted to tell, nor does it even serve as proper fan service.
You're wrong. They want to tell this story to say, you nerds are pathetic because you're born male. And so this was absolutely necessary. You can't say it because you guys never can come to terms with the motivations.
Not only does this retcon Gandalf into misquoting someone, but it also unironically insinuates that Bilbo ripped his poem about Aragorn off from She-Wise Gam Cheeks.
There's nothing ironic about this. This is standard. Is that supposed to be a woman? Okay. That's the whole point, is a man ripped off a woman. We never create anything on our own, according to them. We're always just taking from women. There's nothing ironic about this from a feminist-made production.
This is not a trivial nitpick. You are diminishing meaningful in-universe contributions made from legacy characters, while simultaneously appropriating them onto non-canonical ones simply because you can.
Well, you're finally understanding.
It is not fan service, it is fan disservice. A disservice.
Exactly. The fans are mainly men. You can say what you like, but it's a male fandom. And it's disservice towards us, yes.
To beloved characters, a disservice to significant events, a disservice to the world Tolkien crafted.
Exactly. Again, we're full circle. These feminists are men haters, and they will try to destroy the legacy of anything great a man has accomplished. And we'll end it here.